Okay, let's try this again. I'm gonna post the announcement on Patreon right now so that you guys can get to this. Please, please work, please work, please work, please work. Okay, hopefully it works this time. Still publish now, hopefully. Oh my god. I'm so mortified. This is like my worst nightmare. I hate wasting people's time, and I hate that I wasted everybody's time today. Okay, I think it's working better. I'm seeing this. My guys, I think this stream. Oh yeah, you guys are here. Okay, is it working better this time? Hopefully it is. Please tell me it is. Okay. There's a small delay in when I actually talk in real life and when it gets transmitted to the live stream, but please let me know if there's any lag. From what I'm seeing and what I'm testing right now, there doesn't seem to be a lag. Thank God. So, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, okay. I'm so glad it's working now. Thank you guys so much for your patience. This is one of my worst nightmares, is to deal with something like this. So you guys are just the best. Like, you guys are so awesome. It's so frustrating when technology doesn't work. It's like just when you need it, it stops working. Okay. Well, since we got started 24 minutes past what I originally wanted to start at, don't worry. I'm just gonna have the live stream until 3:30. So we'll have at least an hour, maybe even a little bit more. I'm gonna delete the old post so that people don't think it's confusing. So yeah, just gonna delete it real quick so no one tries to go to the old one. Or maybe I should edit the post instead of deleting it. Okay. You guys are awesome. Okay. Yay! This is so great. Okay, let me see. I'm just gonna delete the old one. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna tell everyone to go to the new one so that in case people don't see it, I'm just gonna reply to each comment. Yeah, okay. While I'm doing this, replying to each person, making sure they get to the new live stream. How is everybody? I have your old chats saved on my phone, so I can start answering some of your questions. It's so weird. I think they disabled the old live streams chats after a few minutes, which is kind of sad. I wish they kept that open. So I'm just going. Oh yay! Thanks, Maya. You posted the link on Facebook. That's actually really smart too. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see it. Okay. All right, so I've already replied to everyone, and I'm just going to edit this link real quick on the main post. So sorry, bear with me for like 30 seconds more, guys. This is, I'm just making sure that, you know, people who look at the old post don't get to the wrong page. There we go. Right. Good, awesome. Okay, so everything is leading to the new live stream. Thank God. Okay. Woo. Been quite an adventure today, I must say. Right, let me make sure that everything is working. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. Oh wait, you know what? Actually, did I just give everyone the wrong? Oh my gosh. I think I gave everyone the wrong link. You know what? I'm just gonna delete this post. Okay. All right. Now that we've got that settled, I deleted the old posts because I confused myself and I gave people the wrong link. Let's just begin the live stream for real. I'm going to start off today, sorry, I'm like so ruffled from this dramatic start. I'm just gonna start with answering some of your questions. You guys are such troopers for sitting here and waiting for this long, so I'm just gonna dive right in, make sure I'm not wasting your time some more. The first question, okay, I got from Raquel, who says, what drives you and your art? And I think at first what drove me was this desire to accomplish like even the smallest goal. Like when I was just starting out, I pretty much had nothing. I didn't have a lot of social media. I didn't have any sort of significant sales or collector base. I didn't have any acceptance or recognition from galleries. So everything I did was just like any small win was what drove me. So even if I got like one new follower or one new comment or sold one print or got even a coffee shop to like accept me, that was what drove me. Like any small indication that I was headed the right direction. And I think especially when you're just starting out in your art career, it is important to really celebrate even the smallest of victories. Later on though, as I fortunately grew and reached a bigger audience, I think now like situations like today really drive me, like seeing that even though I'm an imperfect person or not every situation is perfect. I know like with social media and YouTube, it's really easy to put on like a face of trying to appear very successful, very happy, very flawless. But you know, the truth of the matter is no matter what situation you are in life, it's not always going to be like peaches and roses, even if we try to present the best version of ourselves. But situations like today or anytime I'm down, the thing that drives me is you guys. And I'm not saying, like, I know it sounds really cheesy and like, oh my God, of course, like it's like almost like a beauty pageant answer, but hearing the responses from people who have been positively influenced by what I do, or just, you know, feeling like I've built a network of friends and like-minded people who share the same passions as I do and get the same joy out of creating art that I do. Knowing that I have some sort of even small positive impact on people, that's what really drives me. And that's something that I didn't expect in the beginning. Like I always say this, I always thought being an artist would be more like a bit of a lonely experience. Like I thought I would maybe go to a few gallery shows and meet people through like opening nights, but I never thought the social media route would be where, you know, this career took me. That's something that kind of just grew organically on its own. So definitely now, like I get so much fulfillment from seeing how my art and what I do can influence others instead of just some sort of internal fulfillment that I get from creating art. Of course, I still have that too, but I think now the seeing what I can do as a community or in a community drives me a lot more than what I thought I could do alone. Oh my gosh, that sounds so cheesy, but I hope you guys like kind of get what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, second question. Let me pull this up. Oh, you know what? Crap. Okay, second question is, Whitney says, there's something I've been pondering as I build my portfolio. If I'm going to be submitting to galleries, do the things in my portfolio need to be on the same theme? Does it make a difference? So that's I honestly think I don't know if I have the right authority to answer this question because I don't really work at a gallery and I don't know what galleries think from their perspective. Like I've never really asked a gallery owner. But generally, from what I've observed in my personal experience submitting to galleries, and also from what I've read from various like artist podcasts and interviews, I do feel like it is better to have a consistency. It doesn't have to be the same theme, but there has to be some sort of unique factor that ties your portfolio in together, whether it's a unique style, like your brushwork, your color palette, you know, things that kind of attribute to a very signature aesthetic that they can recognize as yours. Or yeah, in some cases it is a similar theme. Like my portfolio was comprised entirely of portraits of women. And regardless if the color palette was different or maybe the background and the concepts were different, they were all very similar in the sense that they were all about women, and they're all kind of surreal, and they all had something weird and quirky in the paintings. So once I started like kind of trimming the fat in my portfolio and focusing only on painting or submitting things to my portfolio that fell into that consistent category, I did notice a better response from galleries. And I think the reason is when galleries take on new artists, I mean, of course they take on artists that they like, whose, you know, paintings and drawings that they definitely personally like. But also I think a big part of it is it is a business deal. It is like, you know, galleries have to stay afloat. They have to be able to pay their rent. They have to be able to pay their employees, and they have to make sure that their artworks sell. So when curators are pulling together artists for a show or pieces for a show, whether it's a solo show or a group show, they want to know that they can rely on some sort of consistency from the artist. So if your portfolio is all over the place and you have something very different, like two ends of the spectrum, if you have like, let's say, one like photorealistic portrait and one like super abstract landscape, and then they ask you to do a group show, they don't really have a firm grasp or a confidence in what type of art you're going to submit for that show. So let's say that they have a group show that's more focused on realistic portraiture, and you're an artist whose portfolio consists of half realistic portraits and half abstract landscapes, then they might not book you over an artist that gave them a portfolio of purely realistic portraits, because the artists with purely realistic portraits, they know that their style and their piece will fit into their group show. So it's kind of like, yeah, I noticed over the years, definitely having something signature and something consistent will get you better results when you apply for a gallery. That being said, you know, I also think that you don't have to stay stagnant. Like, you don't have to feel pressure to only make the same type of artwork every single time. There's definitely a lot of benefit in continuing to push your boundaries and evolve and of course improve. But I would say do so in baby steps, right? So instead of jumping from like realistic portraits to abstract landscapes, perhaps you can add some abstract elements, slowly work the abstract elements into your portraits and see the reaction and gauge kind of how you feel about it, and then slowly evolve over time. And also I find that naturally, as you do art more and more, like my first year doing art versus this is my almost fourth year doing art, you do find naturally a niche that you like more. So it's not even something that you have to like consciously be aware of. Like, you will naturally drift towards a certain aesthetic or a certain subject that speaks to you the most, and then your signature style kind of just evolves based on what your body and your artist spirit kind of naturally drift towards. So yeah, consistency is something that will develop on its own over time the more you practice. Okay, let me so yeah, hopefully you guys like these questions. I am going to work on a painting soon. I'm just giving people some time to join us in the live stream, so I'm just going to sit here and answer your questions. Hopefully not too boring. Okay, so next question is from Mandy Crossbow, and she says, Happy, do you think of making a video or detailed post about making prints, photographing, settings, Photoshop, etc.? Yeah, that's actually a huge thing on my video to-do list. It is a very daunting video to make because my printmaking process is very, very complicated. It's, in my opinion, unnecessarily complicated, because when I make tutorials, I try to make them very digestible to kind of the general audience or the majority of people watching. So I try to, I guess, polish up the process and rewrite it in a way that people can better understand it, because my way of making prints is super messy and all over the place. It's almost like the way I write notes or the way I sketch, sometimes it's only understandable to myself. So yeah, it's just, I've been putting it off because it is a lot of extra work compared to most other tutorials that I make or most other time lapses that I make. But yeah, I really should do it. It's been highly requested, so thank you for reminding me. But yeah, it definitely involves photographing or scanning, sometimes both. A heavy understanding of how to use Photoshop. Like, the tools and settings I use are things I've learned over the years. Like I've been using Photoshop since high school, so I feel like there's definitely an easier way to accomplish similar results. But what I do is a lot of like manual work. Like I actually go into the image file and like tweak things with like the Band-Aid tool, or the healing brush tool, or like, you know, I'll use like the burn tool, the dodge tool, to make things brighter and darker, and I'll try to get rid of like little dust and cat hairs and things like that. So it's really complicated. I need to find a less complicated version of my printmaking process to make a tutorial with. But yeah, I definitely also this is something I need to do. I was actually going to do it on Monday and I forgot, but it was Cyber Monday and I really wanted to buy a new fine art printer. I think I mentioned this long time ago. I wanted to get a better printer. I mean, I really love my current printer, but it's doesn't make large enough prints. Like it only makes 13 by 19. So I really wanted to get a bigger one that could make maybe 17 by 22 or maybe even 18 by 24. And I also wanted to get a printer that could make prints faster. So like instead of making, you know, one like 8.5 by 11 print at a time, I could perhaps print out a sheet of like 4 at a time. So yeah, these are things I really missed my chance, because Cyber Monday would have been a good chance. So hopefully, today's Wednesday, hopefully I can still find some deals. So thanks for the reminder. I'm going to do that tonight. Okay, next question. Let's see. I'll just scroll some randomly. Tina Fig says, what kind of easel do you have? I'm looking for a good floor easel. So I can show you guys real quick. My easel, oops, sorry. My easel here, I don't know if you can see it. It's a wood easel, and it's from Amazon, I believe, and it's lasted me for a really long time. I think it's been about, wow, it's been over 4 years. So I pretty much, this is a really, really reliable easel. It actually even broke one time when I was at an outdoor art fair, and something fell on it and the wood in the back like cracked, and we had to like screw it back on. But it's still working. It's not as nice as it once was. It might be time for a new easel soon, but I'm like the kind of person that will use something until it breaks before I get a new one, because I like to be frugal, I guess. But I forgot, my boyfriend actually bought it for me 4 years ago as a birthday present on Amazon, and I totally don't know what brand it is. He forgot the listing as well. But generally, I think this easel was like close to $200, or maybe a little bit more than $200. And it was just like a simple wood easel. So my advice for easels is, if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of money, there are definitely a lot of cheaper options. But if you are planning on painting for a while and you can save up enough funds, I would really recommend buying a high quality easel. Like, it's okay to invest $100 to $200 in something, because it is the most important thing I have as a painter. Like I absolutely use it every single day, you know, for 4 years, and it's something I really, really think is worth the extra money. You know, mine, like, it even broke and it still works. So I just feel like the cheaper easels that I've purchased, they've all disappointed me. Like, there's something with a cheap light easel, like it wobbles while you paint, and so when I'm filming time lapses or when I'm working on parts of the painting that require like a heavy brush stroke and I need to make textures and stuff, the easel sometimes will like wobble and shake, and I've had paintings actually fall off the easel before. So and I know this because I actually have a cheaper easel that I keep in my parents' house. So when I visit my parents, I still paint while I'm there, and I use the cheaper easel, and it's just, I can notice a significant difference between the high quality and the low quality one. So yeah, but my easel's from Amazon, but that's not the only place you can get it. You could probably get it online from like Blick or Michael's or Jerry's Autorama, but Amazon is a good place. I think anyone, any country, like Amazon's a pretty reliable marketplace for most items. Okay, so last question from Raquel. And Raquel, I don't know if that's a male or female name. I feel like it's a male name. I don't know. Sorry if I'm getting the gender wrong, but he or she asks, how does oil painting and just doing art in general make you feel, and how do you pick oil paints? So with oil paints, picking them over the years, I generally just read reviews. Like I pretty much only go to Blick for my art supply needs. It's like a local, it's actually an art supply chain, and they have many stores near where I live. And online, you can read reviews on dickblick.com. So I just try to find ones that are better reviewed. And when I started off, again, it's like I bought some cheaper paints. There's nothing wrong with buying cheaper oil paints from an art store, though. Like, I would not recommend getting paints from Walmart. But as long as you stay in an art supply store, they do have student grade paints that are extremely affordable. Well, not extremely affordable, but more affordable than the artist grade paints. And to this day, I still use some of them. It's not that they're bad quality. It's just the colors sometimes are different, or the materials they use are different. But I feel like if you're just starting out, it'll definitely get the job done. And it's not paint that's gonna like crack or, you know, fade. And it's not paint that's gonna feel too different from like a really nice brand. That being said, though, I have tried nice brands. I actually bought this brand of yellow. Actually, while I'm answering this, I'm gonna move you guys over to my easel to begin the painting, and also so you can see what I'm talking about. So I have bought this brand called Williamsburg, and it was my first big purchase. And basically, it was $36 for one tube of yellow. It was cadmium yellow medium, which is what I read. It was a color that really makes a difference, like between good and bad. Like cadmium yellow on a student level paint is very, very transparent and kind of runny. And then cadmium yellow with like a nice artist grade brand, a more expensive brand, would be kind of really opaque, and it'll last longer because you get more pigment and less filler or less binder. Sorry guys, I'm just okay. There we go. Okay. Yay. Okay. Hi guys. Okay, I'm back. Whoa, this camera's like super low. Okay, so this is a really good yellow I was talking about earlier. It's called Williamsburg. Oh my god, please focus. So yeah, I mean, you can see it's really old. I bought it like 3 years ago, and it's almost a full bottle. Do you see this? Like, it's super, super full. And the great thing about this is it's so pigment rich. Sorry, this is a little, maybe a side tangent, but the way that oil paint is made is they combine like this powder pigment, which contains the color, with a binder. So the binder sometimes can be like, just like with a Gamblin, they use just linseed oil, flax oil, and then they ground it together and they mill it, and then it makes this like paste. So it's like almost like baking. Imagine you're mixing flour, like dry flour, with water and butter, and then you get this paste. So oil paint is made the same way, except instead of flour, you have, you know, the pigment, and then instead of water or butter, you have some sort of oil. So the heavier, more expensive stuff, it's basically made with more pigment, so it actually dries a lot slower. So I notice, like, when I have my paints out on a palette like this is my most recent palette I've been using, the yellow dries last. So sometimes I'll leave the palette out, like if I travel and I come back, all the other colors will be completely dry and the yellow is still usable. Like, it's kind of magical. Oh, bye Tina. Tina has to go. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties. So yeah, overall, it's picking oil paints. You have to find the right balance of your budget and I guess what you're looking for. Overall, how does making art make me feel? It's a combination of like extreme excitement, love, and anxiety and stress, but mostly positive feelings. And when I'm really in the zone, it's extremely therapeutic. It's almost like very cathartic. Okay, I think I answered all the questions from the first chat. So let me scroll up here and try to answer questions from this chat while I begin working on this piece. If you guys joined me last month, you might have already seen this. So I actually made a lot of progress since then. Last month I only did the face, and actually let me give you guys some close-up shots of the flowers here. So I actually worked on this, just the roses and the blue and yellow flowers. I worked on these for probably 4 hours yesterday or more, maybe 5 hours. So today I'm gonna do the mushrooms and just kind of clean up this area a bit. In fact, why don't I actually move the camera closer so that you guys can see better detail. Duh. Move this closer. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm like all over the place all the time. Sometimes I feel like I really don't deserve all the love you guys give me because I'm just such a hot mess. I'm just like, like what am I doing? Okay. Okay, please. Okay, maybe. Okay, that is a slightly better view. You guys can get closer to the details. Okay. Yay. Okay, please, camera, do not fall on me. Okay, now that's really crooked. Sorry, guys. Let me just. Okay. Trying to find the perfect angle so that we can. There we go. Awesome. Alrighty. I don't know why I'm doing a British accent now. Okay. I'm just going to sit down now and start painting while I talk to you guys. Okay. I feel like I've said okay 8 trillion times. I need to calm down. I also drank a lot of coffee because I stayed up really late last night reading Reddit. This is my my weakness. I love, I don't know if you guys know what Reddit is, but it's like a really, I mean, probably a lot of you know, but it's like a really popular website in the world, and it's just fun links from all around, and they have these like subreddits. It's kind of like forums, and there's one I love called Ask Reddit, where people ask the audience to answer questions. And I got super into reading about like there was this thread called "What messed up movie like do you recommend watching?" Like what movies are super like mind fucks, like they'll blow your mind. And I just read up on every single movie and read up like the reviews and Wikipedia pages of all these movies. And then before I knew it, it was 3 a.m. So I was like, crap. Oh, Mandy says, by the way, happy I received my first art print from you today, and I'm very happy, and thank you. Thank you, Mandy. That's so nice. Thank you for buying my print. What piece was it, if I may ask? Okay, I'm just going to actually put my phone open in Safari. How do I do this? Open in Safari. How do I watch in Safari? See, I'm like opening this in Patreon, but it's not letting me open it in Safari. What? Oh, there we go. Okay. Cool. Now I can look at our live chat while I work. Yay. Okay, gonna answer another question while I paint. June says Amazon's having a Cyber Monday week. Oh, that's awesome, actually. Okay, so I do have until the end of the week to look at new printers. Okay, so I'll answer this question first. Maya says, do you think it's better to use an artist? Girls, stop! Sorry, my dogs are barking. Girls, quiet. Okay, I have this question in my head for quite long. Do you think it's better to use an artist pen name or use your real name when it comes to publishing your art? Ooh, good question. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna quiet my dogs down. Come on, girls, come here. Come here, girls. First I get technical difficulties, and now I get animal difficulties. Come on, go to bed. Go to bed, girls. Go to bed. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I just put them in the room with me so that they like to bark at whoever walks by my door. So they're really good guard dogs, but super annoying when you're trying to do a live stream. I think it really depends on your preference. I know a lot of artists use pen names. A lot of authors use pen names, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with using a real name if you're comfortable with it. So Happy is actually my real name, and like it's what everyone calls me. It's what everyone knows me as. So in that way, I use my real name. I thought Happy was like a really fun artist name too. I actually thought about making a new artist name. Like when I started my social media and just decided to try to put myself online, I did get a little bit weirded out by the possibility of using my real name. So I was like, maybe I should use a fake like artist name, but I couldn't come up with anything. Like, it's so weird to try to assign my identity to another name because I'm so used to being called Happy. So I just went and used my real name. That being said, like, I know a lot of artists don't publish their, like, you know, last name online, and that's totally fine. I don't think you should be pressured into doing anything. You should do whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. There are also artists who do publish their real first and last name, and again, nothing wrong with that. Like, a lot of artists I know who maybe start off as like famous or illustrious art teachers at certain art schools. You know, their full name, their education, everything is out for the world to see, and that's fine. Like, yeah, it just depends on what makes you comfortable. And if you do have a pen name, like, I do think it is pretty cool. Like, you get to kind of create a new identity for yourself. So nothing wrong with that. By the way, I'm just glazing some of these little mushrooms with this color that was actually recommended to me by one of my patrons, Quinacridone Opera from Holbein. One of my favorites, like a really vibrant, hot pink. Okay, next question. I'm gonna scroll here. June says, do you think getting cotton rag paper for art prints on a Canon printer would work? I want to start selling my prints myself versus on Society 6. Yeah, I really feel like, well, I think selling your own prints is an awesome experience. It is more work and more hassle, but you get to have more control over the entire process. And if you get a fine art printer, that's, I mean, it depends on what kind of Canon printer, right? Canon printers range from, you know, like $100 to like several $1,000s. So if you get a fine art printer in the higher end, it can take a variety of papers, and it doesn't have to be particular to the Canon brand, and you can pretty much put whatever high quality paper you want. And of course, the better quality, the better the print. Generally for my prints, I don't like to limit myself to using only cotton rag or only like textured matte paper, because I do oil paints, and a lot of oil painting is like, has to do with kind of how luminous and deep the colors are. And so I experiment with various types of glossy papers. And even though they're glossy, like, I still use really, really nice fine art paper. So thick and good material, and the gloss isn't too tacky. You know, it's not like something I get at Target. But I think when I did my print artist proofs, my print samples, the oil paints come out so much more beautiful on slightly glossier paper because it really brings out the shine. And then the drawings and watercolors and inks come out great on matte paper because it feels more like the original surface that I drew them on. And that's just my personal preference. Like, when I don't know, it's hard to describe it, but the way that paper works, like the gloss, it's kind of like glazing or varnishing an oil painting. For those of you who like to watch varnish videos, like, you can see the world of difference. Like, you might initially think that your painting already looks really vibrant, and, you know, like, the values and colors look great, but then you put the varnish over it and you're like, wow, I did not know it was capable of being this beautiful or like this luminous. And, you know, the colors pop, the shadows get darker, the whites get brighter. And that's how I felt when I started printing on glossy paper for oils. I was like, whoa, this is like, looks just like my painting. Versus when I was printing on matte paper, you know, I was like, okay, well, this is kind of nice, but, you know, I just feel like something missing, or the colors don't quite match, or the shadows aren't deep enough. So yeah, I would recommend using cotton rag if it suits your needs. And I would also say, like, don't, just because other people are using cotton rag for their works doesn't mean it works the best for yours. But no matter what you do, of course, like, try to read up on reviews and make sure you are giving people a good quality print. I think, in my opinion, for giving out prints, as long as the print can last, a lot of people might not even care about this, but like, I care. Like, as long as it's printed with pigment-based ink instead of like ink-based ink. So that's the huge difference between fine art printers and non-fine art printers, like, is the ink. So if you use pigment-based ink, it's going to last generations. Like, Epson, Canon, they all have this guarantee of it lasting over 200 years. So that to me is what makes a print worth buying. And that's why I would pay extra for a fine art print than I would for like a poster that you get at my Walmart or something. Like the ink is so important. And you know, the printers that I use take like 10 colors, meaning like if I'm trying to reproduce the colors on this piece, I have 10 to choose from on my printer. So like instead of using, let's say I have this really unique shade of pink. So my printer will have 2 types of pink, 1 type of red, a little bit of yellow, 2 types of blue, and then they can figure out how to reproduce my pink to the most accurate and faithful reproduction, versus a lot of inkjet printers, you know, that you might find on the cheaper end or at offices. They, like, you know, if you have a color printer at your office or your school, they only have 3 colors. Like usually it's just like, I think cyan, magenta, and yellow. And then so the colors don't come out looking as close as they are to the original because they have less to work with and less colors to blend. So yeah, that's just my personal preference, but I do think Society 6 actually uses pretty good inks, and they do make pretty good fine art prints. And it is a great starting point if you don't want to get into the whole can of worms of making your own prints yet. Okay, next question. Oh, thank you guys for all the recommendations on Cyber Monday. Okay. Crystal says, in terms of cheaper paint, I use the oil paints from Hobby Lobby, and I really like them. Oh, that's cool. I actually have never been to a Hobby Lobby, so worth a shot. Michelle Mendoza says, I'm thinking maybe the reason why I haven't been able to comment in the past is because I was on an iPad. Yeah, I actually don't. I have an iPad, but I gave it to my mom because I couldn't get used to using it. I'm just so used to laptops and iPhones. So, but I'm really glad you can comment now. And let's see. Michelle says hello from Silver Spring, Maryland. Oh, hello. Okay, Mandy, the print you got was La Roseraie. Okay, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I love that piece. That piece is hanging up on my wall right now, and like it's one of my favorites. I love the like French Rococo movement inspired things, and I should do more of those. I really. Okay. Crystal says, happy thank you. Ever since I started watching you in January this year, I've now opened my own shop and I've been accepted into 2 art shows for February. You're a huge inspiration. Awesome. Congrats, Crystal. That's so good to hear. And I mean, I'm sure most of it was just your own talent and dedication, but I'm really happy to have helped in some way. Lisa says, I have your Ganja Princess print in my woman cave, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Thank you. I love Ganja Princess. that piece is like one of my oldest, but one of my most favorite ones, because I actually did that really quickly. Well, not quickly, but it took me like 2 or 3 hours, but I did it in one sitting. I just got so inspired, and it just kind of like all happened at once. Like I just created without stopping. I don't think I even stopped to like drink water or pee. Like I just sat there and I was like possessed by some sort of painting spirit, and it was one of the easier pieces I've had to paint because it just like from beginning to end went so smoothly, and I was completely fueled by inspiration. Yeah, those days definitely don't come around very often. So after that, you know, I was like, why can't every piece be this easy? Like just sitting down and knowing exactly what I want to do and not having any like mistakes, not having to repaint anything. Okay. June recommends using a pen name. That's actually pretty cool. You can have it trademarked for only $300. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'm like really behind on comments. Sorry, guys. June says, have you worked with Gold Leaf before? If so, what brand? I was looking for some on Amazon, but I only found one that was edible. I'm not sure that's what I'm looking for. Oh yeah, they do use edible gold leaf in a lot of like baking stuff. So I've actually never used real gold leaf. I've used a lot of gold paint pens or gold paint. And also like this one pen I got, I think the brand was Krylon. It was a gold leafing pen, but I doubt that they had gold leaf in it. It just gave the effect of gold leaf. And a huge reason why I haven't used gold leaf is actually because I heard from some of my artist friends or just reading forums from people who have used gold leaf that it's quite difficult to use. Like it's super flaky and it's so thin. It's like so much thinner than paper. It's really easy to break it and it flies everywhere. And so I've just honestly been too intimidated to try it out. But it is something I do think that real gold leaf, it looks so beautiful. And it's definitely different from using a gold pen or a gold paint. However, I actually quite like the effect that gold paint or gold pens give. Gold leaf is super, super reflective. It's almost like a golden mirror. And for me, I like the effect of just like a metallic gold paint. It's a little bit more, it's a little more subtle, and it kind of fits the aesthetic I'm going for. But generally, yeah, if I ever want to try gold leaf, I probably will, because it does sound like something very challenging and it's something I've never tried. And when you've been doing art for many years, you know, thinking of something that you never tried sounds exciting rather than daunting. So maybe now I'll give it a shot. But yeah, back when I first found out about it, I was still starting out and too too shy to try it out. Okay, next question. Oh, Roxanne, welcome back. Actually, yeah, Roxanne, there's still 30 minutes left because we had technical difficulty. So yeah, you do have a lot of time. Okay. Raquel says, will the live stream be saved? Yes, it will definitely be saved, and you can rewatch it whenever you like. You can also rewatch past live streams on Patreon. There's a option. Oh, by the way, guys, the Patreon app on mobile, I found is like not very good. You're better off using just like your web browser and going to patreon.com, or just using your computer. The Patreon app doesn't have a lot of functionality. So one of my favorite functionalities that I try to use and try to get my patrons to use is the filter by tags or filter by post type. So I'm a fairly organized person, and I like to have everything labeled and ready to go. So there's actually a live stream tag on my Patreon post. So anything that's related to a live stream, like all the past month live streams, I use the tag live stream. And then on the website, it's really easy to find. You just go to like posts, and they have like a little sidebar on the left that says filter by tags. On mobile, you can just look at this most recent current live stream, and you can click on the tag at the bottom of the post, and it'll take you to all the other posts with the same tag. So it's less intuitive, but yeah, I think how many live streams have I had? Maybe like 20 or more. I don't know, but yeah, you guys definitely feel free to rewatch this later. I have deleted the first one so that you guys don't have to rewatch my hot mess of a freak out attempt. But yeah, this one that's going smoothly, you can definitely rewatch. Whitney Page says, for prints, do you use a screen calibrator? Yes, I calibrate my printer with my specific monitor. A while back, my boyfriend tried to convince me to get a new monitor that was better. Honestly, I really like my monitor. It's a Dell U2711. It was like close to $1,000 when I bought it. It was actually a really splurge purchase I made way back in the day when I was like really into wanting to build like a nice computer, and it's doing really well. The colors are amazing. Like I actually went to the store and I compared monitors, you know how they have them lined up like in a row, and I picked the one that I thought had the best representation of colors and detail. And yeah, so I have my printer calibrated to this specific monitor. I only make prints with this computer and this monitor, because if you switch monitors, you have to recalibrate it, because the relationship between the colors on the monitor and the colors on the printer will change if you change the monitor. So yeah, I'm again, like my printmaking process is very like picky, very specific. I have all these little like quirks, and I'm kind of like OCD and anal about a lot of things with my prints. So it's like yeah, it's gonna be, I should make a video, but yeah, it will be challenging for me to like find a way to make it understandable to everybody. I'm like a crazy mad scientist when it comes to making prints. Okay, next question. Okay, Raquel had to leave. Bye, Raquel. Let's see. Lou says the cost of printers in Argentina is like double in the United States. Damn, that sucks.
Okay, let's see. Klatson says, I've been trying to nip this problem in the bud, but when I get close to finishing a piece, I get impatient and rush because it's the end. Have you had to combat that, or is it a me thing? Yes, I know what you mean. Like for this piece, for example, like I'm so close to the finish line. I only have the mushrooms left, and I had to polish up a few other places, but I feel like I'm maybe only one day away from finishing it, and it's so hard to resist that urge to just kind of like rush through it and call it done because you just want to finish a painting. So what I like to do is work on it in sections and like tell myself. So yesterday, right, like I had this urge, this temptation to finish this whole painting yesterday, but I knew deep down that I really should take more time. So I told myself yesterday I'd only work on this section of the piece, and I wouldn't stop until like my workday was done or until I was like physically exhausted. So by doing that, I forced myself to really spend time rendering all the details and doing a really perfect job. So if you find yourself like tempted to just get things over with, like just tell yourself, hey, I'm gonna, like, let's say I have a day or a few hours to paint. I'm only going to paint this part or this specific element on the piece, and then force yourself to really flesh that part out before like moving on and just trying to like rush through everything. Yeah, it is hard to resist, but I think a lot of joy that I found is not in finishing the piece, but like the few days close to finishing a piece when I'm polishing up the small details. It's so satisfying. It's like really fancy, like intricate work, and to me it just makes me really happy. I don't know why. It's like I get to kind of only focus on one small part and just get lost in it. So yeah. All right, I'm going to switch brushes now, maybe a slightly bigger one, and try to blend some of that red mushroom. So yeah, I wish, man. Okay, again, Cyber Monday. I maybe should also look into getting a better camera, or maybe getting in a type of equipment to use to live stream from my DSLR, because I would love to zoom in, but like my webcam is literally like maybe a foot away from my canvas or my easel. So if I push it any further, like I won't be able to see the easel, but I wish I could zoom in so you guys can see the small details. Yeah, these are all things I keep telling myself every month. Like I put it on my bullet journal. I'm like, upgrade technology, or like learn how to live stream with DSLR, and it's just, it gets kicked to the bottom of my priority list because then I get faced with all these like really urgent deadlines, like, oh crap, you have to ship your prints out, people are waiting, or oh crap, you have this deadline for this gallery show or commission, and like, so if someone's like waiting on me, I'm like, oh no, and then I freak out and I really want to get things done on time or even early, and then I kind of, these small like nice to have, like, oh, like get better at live streaming, those things I always kick to the bottom of my to-do list, which sucks, and I should really like stop doing that. Like I should really focus and yeah, try to manage my time better. Maybe like set aside some time for urgent deadlines, and then set aside maybe like an hour a day for non-urgent but still important deadlines. So let's see. Okay. And then for a little trick for this piece, just to explain what I'm doing, I haven't really talked about what I'm doing yet. So there's one color, and you guys have seen me use it before. It's called Radiant Green. It's from Gamblin. You can barely see the lettering because it's so old. It's this beautiful mint green color. I always call it my Luna moth color. It's very similar to the color of my phone case. So I'm obsessed with this color, and it shows up in a lot of places. You see a little bit around like the halo of the moon. Pretty much all my highlights, I blend a little bit of this into, like, so if I'm having a light part of the skin, instead of just using white, I put in a little bit of radiant green. On the mushrooms and the petals, even on the rose, I like any sort of highlights, I mix a little bit of this one color. And this is something I think I mentioned on our Facebook group too. Like it makes it look very consistent, and it brings the whole piece together. So even though I have some parts that are pink, some parts that are blue, some parts that are black, having one consistent color appear throughout really makes the piece feel very cohesive. Like they're all in the same world, in the same environment, and also receiving the same light, and the light is bouncing off of one object and onto another, and it just feels more like it's in one family, so to speak. Okay, oh, more questions. Macy Lou says, did you take any business classes or seminars or sales webinars? I'm currently doing a class online by an artist. I have not. I have definitely not taken any seminars or online classes. I like to sometimes listen to podcasts or read interviews. So I have a handful of like favorite artists like James Jean, Mark Ryden, and I love reading their interviews. James Jean has a few actually like video interviews on YouTube that I love watching. Like he's such an inspiring person. He has amazing work ethic. And anytime I'm feeling lazy or have art block, I just look at either James Jean's Instagram or watch some of his interviews because he works like 16 hours a day. Like he's just always creating. So yeah, I've never actually taken a class. I bet if James Jean offered a class, I'd probably take it on like anything. If it's painting or marketing, I'd probably take it. But yeah, generally I just focus on like the artists that I love and then I get advice from them. Mostly because I get to kind of, I feel like I want to support the people that, you know, have played a big role in helping me and inspiring me. So yeah, I don't like, the thing is, if I watch a webinar by artists who I'm not super familiar with, it's not that I don't value their advice. It's just like it doesn't have as much of an impact as taking advice from an artist that I know I love and I feel like familiar with or connected to. So yeah, but yeah, I've never taken any online classes. I took like, I guess in the sense I'll watch like a YouTube tutorial and take a class in that way, but I haven't taken any like sales or business online courses. Lou Tapia says you are achieving such beautiful volume on the skin. It sounds weird, but it feels more 3D. Thank you. Yep, that's just glazing and layers and glazing and layers. It's a tedious, slow process, but the end result is worth it. Okay, another question from Maya. She says, how do you know when you are ready to submit a portfolio to a gallery? Sometimes I think that maybe I can give it a try and build a portfolio, but other times I think I'm still a very low level. That's a really good question. And I went through the same dilemma in the beginning. I was telling myself, I'm like, okay, as soon as I get to like this level, or as soon as I get good enough in this way, or you know, surpass like this benchmark or this milestone, then I will submit to a gallery. And then I realized like I just kept pushing it back, and it was like a year later and I hadn't submitted to any galleries because I just never got as good as I thought I needed to be. And then I realized like there really is no right time, but there definitely is still in general. Like you have to have an understanding of what the gallery, like what their bar is, what their requirements are. So for me, like I would often, you know, have a few, I start off with local galleries in San Francisco. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to, you know, submit something locally. I don't have to like worry about shipping. I can go attend the show. So I had a list of maybe like 3 to 5 local galleries who I frequently attended their shows and I like dreamt to be exhibiting in their gallery. And then I would keep track of them. Like I would follow them on social media. I'd attend as many shows as I could in person. And if I couldn't go in person, I would view the shows online. And I would always know kind of exactly what they're looking for and what their standards are, and basically like the level of skill and type of style I would need to be at to fit into their gallery. And that was a really good barometer for if I was ready to apply to a gallery or not. Like if I knew that I was leagues below like the current artist represented by that gallery in terms of either skill or experience, or the style doesn't match, then I would definitely not submit or apply to a gallery. But I think there was a point definitely where I felt like I could be good enough. I was like, you know what, I've been practicing and improving, and I think my skills are good enough, but I'm not really sure. And during those times where I wasn't sure, I didn't apply. And I think looking back, I probably could have applied earlier for some places and maybe waited a bit more on other places. So yeah, I wish I had a really good answer for how do you know. Most of the time, I guess my answer would be look at what artists that they currently have and see how you compare. And if you think you're around the same level, it doesn't hurt to apply. And most galleries that I've applied to, or most galleries that I've shown with right now who've like accepted me, I've applied to and gotten rejected before, or I've applied to a year earlier and they didn't respond. So I don't think applying to a gallery and being rejected by them will blacklist you from ever getting accepted. So don't be afraid of that. Like, if you think you qualify and you're good enough and you want to apply and they reject you, that doesn't mean that you'll never get accepted again. Like, they might accept you next year, they might fall back when they have a show that's more fitted for your style. Like, you never know. So yeah, do not be afraid. Take a chance, right? Like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I love that quote. I don't know who said it, maybe Michael Jordan, but that quote is always, anytime I give up or just, get discouraged, I try to think of that. I'm like, you know what, at least try. If I try and I fail, then at least I have closure. But if I don't try because I'm afraid of the feeling of rejection, then, what if I would have made it? Like, I would have sold myself short and missed out on an opportunity. So at least try. All right, I'm just gonna add some more shadows to these mushrooms. I completely made up these little tiny mushrooms, by the way. I don't even know if anything like this exists in real life. I was like, it'd be cool to have a mushroom that was like all neon, iridescent colors, like colors I would find at a rave, maybe. So, and then another trick I have is like any old dried up brush that I no longer find useful, like things that are maybe like this, like very, very frayed and old. Instead of throwing them away, I just use them to blend. So like, there's a dry brush blending technique. Right now I'm trying to blend out the shadow near the mushroom here. So the skin underneath that layer has already been dried. I painted that like weeks ago, and I want to blend out this new wet gray paint, and using this dry brush, it's perfect. It's got all these like loose bristles. It's almost like a feather duster, and it makes a great blending tool. So yeah. I'm also just an art supply hoarder, so I have trouble letting go of art supplies. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna answer one more question. Let's see. Scrolling. Klotson says, I tried taking your advice on incorporating more early greens, blues, and purples into skin tones, but I'm having issues on making my subject not look sick or beaten up. Any advice? Yeah, so if they look sick or beaten up, that probably means you're using too much green or too much blue. Like actually, let me do a quick blending demo just to show you guys. So let me just hold my palette here. So let's say I wanted to blend, so skin tone, right? You might think you need like, let's say, okay, I'm just gonna use this space right here. Sorry, there's not a lot of empty space on my canvas, but here's some red. And I guess with red, we want to put in maybe some white, so to give us like a nice earthy pink. So I like to blend red and green. So when I take my green here, oops, my green's almost completely dried out. Green. So my green, I'm gonna blend it. See, right now, this part looks really almost too green. If you put this type of green onto your subject, they're gonna look sick. But if you blend more red into it, gradually you reach a happy medium, no pun intended, you reach a medium point where it looks like a cool, peachy skin color. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but like, see, this color now is a lot more brown than this color down here, which is kind of green. And of course, like, this type of brown is a cool brown. It's different from like a burnt sienna, which is like this brown up here, which is super, super sandy and like saturated, almost like an orange brown. See, compared to this brown, it's very cool, very muted, and it'd be great for certain types of skin tones. And so even if you throw blue into it, let's say I throw a little bit of blue, like maybe, okay, I'm gonna use this blue up here called Prussian blue. Okay, see how there's blue there? So if I incorporate a little bit of blue into this, let's say here, I'm going to start mixing the blue. If you mix it enough, it won't look like a sickly blue. It'll just it's still kind of like a skin tone, like still kind of brown and peachy, but it's just even cooler. So when you incorporate greens and blues into your skin tones, just keep them like, keep the portions, the ratio very small, like almost put in a drop of green and a drop of blue at a time. And then you'll notice that the skin tone, you're tinting it and like slightly tweaking it versus like, making your subject look sick. So I hope that helps. Crafty Carney says there's some pretty funky looking mushrooms in the tropical rainforest of Queensland. Dude, I gotta go. I've never seen a funky mushroom in real life, and I would love to. Like, just even these red ones with the white dots, I've never seen one in real life. Like, I think I would just be so giddy if I saw one in real life. Michelle says, do you have any pictures of really old art that might not be as good as the level you are now? Oh, totally. Why don't I take you guys, because it's almost time to say goodbye, so I'm gonna take you guys back onto my desk so I can say goodbye to you guys in person. And if you just honestly scroll through my old Instagram, like just scroll all the way down, you could probably encounter a lot of pieces that are definitely not as good as they are now. And I do have some, actually, I do have some from when I was a kid. I think I posted an Instagram story about this maybe a few weeks ago when I was at my parents' house, and I found some of my old artworks from high school. Yeah, it's really, really fun to see how much progress I've made on this journey, because my old art was just all like pencil drawings, and you know, it was not always perfect. But back then I thought they were really good. Back then I was really proud of them. Like as a 13-year-old, I was like, wow, like I'm 13, I can draw a human that looks slightly human-esque. Okay, yay! Okay. So yeah, if you scroll through my, let me see, I might actually even have it on me right now. Let me see, maybe if I go on my folder that says videos. Okay, I have one. Really, a really ghetto way of doing this, but here's, so you might see it. This is a portrait of Michael Jackson I did when I was 13. So yeah, you can see like definitely not what I would do now. And back then I didn't even use oils or use many colors at all. It was mostly just pencil drawings. But yeah, it's I was really proud of it at the time. I thought it was a pretty solid drawing. And I love Michael Jackson. I've actually been meaning to, I used to draw and paint him a lot, and I've been really meaning to do more Michael Jackson inspired artworks now that I feel like I can actually paint a fairly solid portrait in oils, like just a really trippy Michael Jackson one. Because he's one of my favorites. Michael Jackson fan for life. Yeah, okay. Let's see, I think I started this about 2:24, so it's 3:25. We've hit an hour mark. Any last questions before I go? Thank you guys so much again for just, I know I can't say this enough, but for being patient with me and always being so supportive, like to me and to each other. I launched that new The Happy's Art Club Facebook group yesterday, and I try to go on like every few hours to accept new requests, and it's just been amazing to see the type of feedback that people have been giving each other. Like everyone's sharing their artwork and helping critique each other and give advice and sharing like your favorite websites and resources. Like you guys are so awesome. Like I wish all of social media could be this nice. You know, like you always get some really strange, mean people on like your YouTube comments or your Instagram comments. And it's really nice to know that like I have a small, like close-knit community of patrons who are so nice to each other and so respectful and positive. And yeah, I think definitely Patreon is my favorite social media platform because you guys are just the best. June says, do you celebrate Christmas? Have you got any gifts? Yes, I do celebrate Christmas, and I have not gotten any gifts yet. So yeah, I actually need to buy my Christmas presents from my family and friends. I'm really bad at buying presents. I just can't seem to figure out what people like. And yeah, it's just not a natural talent that I have. So I always have to really think about it and try to get something, especially for people like my boyfriend or my friends who I've been friends with for several years. Like we bought each other so many presents over the years that it's hard for me to know what they want now because I feel like I'm out of ideas on what to get them. So yeah, always a struggle for me. Yeah, I think I'm gonna head out, guys. I gotta go. And yeah, I gotta go finish up some more work today. I'm actually gonna try to film a few YouTube videos and more Patreon videos for you guys.
So it's been awesome to have you guys here. And again, my apologies for the glitch earlier, but I hope you guys enjoy this live chat or live stream regardless. And I hope you all have an awesome day wherever you guys are. And if you have any more questions for me, feel free to post them in the Facebook group or message me or comment. Yeah, I definitely enjoy talking to you guys. So have a safe and awesome holiday season. Next month's live stream will be before Christmas because I'm traveling for Christmas. I think a lot of people are too. So I'll try to have a live stream around like maybe December like 18th or 15th or something like that so that more people can make it. But yeah, hope to see you guys all next month and have an awesome day, guys. Love you all.